came to town a few months ago, and I was opening up the proceedings, and I completely forgot to tell people who I was. So I'd like to introduce to you Chad Swans, our EA president. And I want to welcome you all here to our great campaign headquarters. Anytime you're feeling down and you want a little boost, come around here. If nothing else, you can look up at those wonderful, beautiful, glowing globes and it'll lift your spirits just like that. Greetings to everyone. I also want to express my thanks to quite a number of the people that are here. I want to thank all of you for being here and for supporting our campaign. In a few minutes, I'm going to introduce our honored guest, and I'll say more about that later. But I would also like at this time just to express my deep gratitude to my loving wife, Sharon, who is here in the first row. Anyone involved in political life knows of the unsung heroes or the spouses who are there behind the lines supporting, making sure that the candidates get fed, washed, and dressed. And, I'm very grateful for that. In addition, I would like to introduce to you my daughter, Laura, and her husband, Kyle Foster, standing beside me. We have with us, apart from our special guest, at least one other member of Parliament who I'd like to address a little bit, because he arrived in Ottawa 2 years before I did. And although he's much more youthful than I am, I look upon him as an older brother and as a mentor and as a guide, and he has never failed me in his wisdom. And so I'd like you all to express with me gratitude to Harold Albrecht. Is the Member of Parliament for Kitchener-Conestoga, about more which will be said later. I think Peter was going to try to be here, Peter Brake, but I'm just looking and I don't know if I can see him, and he may come along later. We do, as Chad alluded to, have a couple of provincial progressive conservative luminaries with us, and I want to begin referring to them by introducing you to someone who needs no introduction, because he's familiar to everybody in Waterloo region, and he's been kind enough to go door to door with me and introduce me to some of his friends in the community, and that is Dave McDonald, our next Dave will be the candidate for the Progressive Conservatives in Kitchener Centre in the October provincial election, and the stars are all aligned. We have a great candidate. He's putting together a great team. We have a great leader provincially, and we have every expectation of great success in that election. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out our former member of the provincial legislature, now sort of semi-retired, I'm going to say, but someone who has really been a powerhouse behind the scenes in the Conservative Party in this area for a long time, Mr. Wayne Wettlaufer in the back there. I do want to talk to you a little bit about the campaign, but first, one more person needs an introduction, and again, he's a modest one who I can't quite pick out, but our campaign manager who is bringing everything together. There he is in the back, Rob McQuaid. Rob was the spark plug behind our 2008 revolution here in Kitchener Centre, and so I'm very grateful that he's back with us again today, as well as grateful to all of the teams that have been out putting up signs, knocking on doors, pounding the pavement. It's through that kind of teamwork that we're going to succeed again here in Kitchener Centre. And really, it's all about the importance of getting out our message. Getting out our message. So when I talk to people, I say, tell your friends, because that's what we have to do in this campaign. And our message really boils down to a simple slogan, which you'll see on the campaign material, and that is that the choice is clear. And I want to just elaborate on that very briefly in three ways. There are three ways that the choice is clear here in Kitchener Centre. The first is that there is a choice facing Canadians between a Stephen Harper-led majority government and a Michael Ignatieff-led minority government. And I don't want to steal too much of the minister's thunder, but I want to explain that from the point of view of somebody who was born and raised here in Kitchener Centre. I don't think we even have to use the word coalition. I know darn well the opposition isn't going to use it. But I want to explain to you that the way it will work is that after an election, the party with the most seats, I think ours, if it's a minority, will be asked to form government by the Governor-General and will submit a throne speech to Parliament. And if the opposition so chooses, and I believe there's no doubt they will, that throne speech will be defeated. And the sole purpose of that is that the Governor-General's legal obligation at that time will be to go to the party, the leader of the party with the second most seats in the Commons, and ask that party and that leader to form a government. And that will be Michael Ignatieff. And there is very little doubt, my friends, that if there is another minority government, that is what will happen, and Michael Ignatieff, with the support of the separatist bloc and the NDP, will be the next Prime Minister of Canada. So we have to make it clear that that is the choice. Stephen Harper-led majority government or a Michael Ignatieff-led minority government supported by the separatist bloc and the NDP. And in doing so, my friends, we have a great message, because Stephen Harper is an incredibly principled man. His program and our program has been all about the interests of ordinary Canadians and what concerns ordinary Canadians. And Mr. Harper is one of the most ethical men that I know. You know, our government has implemented 28,000 stimulus projects across this country. There has not been one case of a contract kickback, not one case of theft of money, not one case of any misappropriated money. In fact, if Mr. Harper hears about someone trying to peddle influence or do anything improper, he throws the book at them. And that's because he wants to set an example and a tone for our government, and that's exactly the tone that he sets for himself personally. Now, I don't need to say anything about Michael Ignatieff, because everybody, every Canadian knows what to expect of Michael Ignatieff. So tell your friends about this. The second message, the second reason that in Canada we have a clear choice is when it comes to policy. In Canada, Canadians have a choice between a low-tax, job-creating, family-friendly set of policies on our part, or on the other side, high taxes, no job creation policy, in fact probably a job killing policy, and high spending, interest group friendly policies. And that is a very clear choice. In fact, I won't go on now, but maybe later you ask me, why didn't the opposition support our budget? And I'll tell you more about that. In any event, I want you to tell your friends about that policy choice. And finally, and leastly, I suppose, in this riding, Canadians have a choice between two different kinds of members of Parliament. For my part, I hope that in the last 2.5 years I've established that I am a hard-working member of Parliament. I hope that I'm going to give away my age here. Well, in deference to my wife, I won't, but I hope that my decades of service and community involvement in Kitchener have established that I am an honest man, and also that I'm an effective man. You know, the achievements that we've been able to make for Kitchener Centre in the last 2 years are quite remarkable compared to the 13 or 18 years of previous Liberal representation. Whether it's Anselma House or the Residential Energy Efficiency Program Demonstration House or the downtown redevelopment or any number of other areas where we have effectively brought federal support to Kitchener. I'm very proud of our record. And lastly, I'm part of a team. I mentioned earlier Harold Albrecht. Well, we have Peter Braden, we have Gary Goodyear, and I want to tell you that this is the first time in the history of Waterloo Region, in a long, long time, that we have had 4 effective members of Parliament working together as a team. And believe me, when we go down to Ottawa, our voice is heard on behalf of Waterloo Region. Contrast that to the Liberal record. In fact, the Liberals can't understand how us Conservatives work so well together as a team. You know, they think it's because there's some sort of a dictator up there cracking the whip. It's not true. In fact, we're all just friends together, and we respect each other, and therefore we agree together. And that's just a marvelous feature of our work in Ottawa. The Liberals, on the other hand, my friend Senator Mike Duffy, a year or 2 ago, at the height of one of the Liberal imbroglios in Quebec, made quite an astute comment. He said that the Liberal Party is in such bad shape they're actually stabbing each other in the front now. It's maybe a little bit harsh to say, but the fact is that they don't have the same team spirit that we do. So tell your friends about the difference in members of Parliament that you can expect in this election. And all of that, my friends, is a winning message, and we have a great team, and a winning message with a great team really points the road to another Conservative victory here in Kitchener Centre on May 2nd. I know that I am not the main event here today. We have with us a colleague who is held in high esteem by all of our caucus and by many, many people across this country. He has served the people of his riding in Niagara Falls for 3 decades as a school trustee, as a member of Parliament, and now as a member of the government and Minister of Justice, and if I'm not mistaken, probably Deputy Prime Minister. I'd like to promote him anyway. So I do want you to know, as a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Justice and Human Rights, I've had opportunity to work very closely with the guest I'm about to introduce, and I know him to be someone who listens carefully and accepts input from his caucus colleagues. I know him to be incredibly hardworking and dedicated to the interests of Canadians all across this country, and in particular, someone who has done something which would have been revolutionary in Liberal times, and that is he has brought a real heart to our government for the victims of crime. And much of close by saying that I'm looking forward immensely to working with Rob in the next Parliament, and I wish you to extend a very warm welcome, a warm Kitchener Centre welcome to the Honourable Rob Nicholson.